Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Our mission today, we're tackling something pretty dense, honestly. Those documents that define your relationship with your custom software provider. We're talking terms and conditions, T&Cs, and maybe even more critical, the annual maintenance contracts, or AMCs.
Yeah, the fine print.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. We've got our hands on some detailed source docs here covering both kinds of software setups, the older offline installed kind and the newer online cloud-based stuff. Our goal isn't just to read legal jargon at you, it's to give you the shortcut, right? The key things you need to know. Where does the software company say, that's our job, and where do they say, nope, that's on you?
And setting the context here is super important. We're looking at documents from a provider. Let's just call them KMS for simplicity. They're standard procedures. These documents, T&C, AMC, support policies, they're basically the blueprint for how you work together long term. They're supposed to build trust, transparency, right? Supposed to. And they define who's responsible for what, especially when it comes to, say, data safety or what services are actually included. What's really interesting, though, is how clearly these contracts are often tilted. They seem balanced, but they really work hard to limit the provider's risk.
Which means if you, the business owner, don't catch those limits before you sign.
You could be taking on some massive risks without even realizing it. Potentially catastrophic ones.
Okay, so before we even get into what they do provide, let's talk foundations. The sources are crystal clear on one thing: read everything. Before you buy, before you renew.
Sounds basic, I know, but in this area, skipping the reading leads straight to, well, nasty financial surprises.
And legal headaches too, presumably.
Absolutely. Legal consequences can hit fast. The first big flag in these docs, jurisdiction.
The legal home base.
Exactly. These documents specify Hyderabad as the place where any support disputes have to be settled.
Wait, hang on. If I'm running my business in, say, London or New York, why does Hyderabad matter? That feels like just, background noise.
It's definitely not noise. It's a classic legal strategy. Think about it. If you're a small or medium business, thousands of miles away.
The cost of even starting a legal fight there.
Precisely. Unless the problem is worth a huge amount of money, hundreds of thousands maybe, this clause basically makes it financially impossible for most clients to sue.
So for smaller issues, you just have to lump it.
It heavily incentivizes the client to just give in, yeah. The cost of fighting outweighs almost anything but a total disaster. It really deters litigation.
Okay, that definitely shifts the power balance. Now let's talk about the really scary part for any business: data safety. Your data is your business, especially with custom software. Where do these T&Cs put the blame, the responsibility? 100%.
Oh, it's unambiguous. It lands squarely 100% on the customer. You are solely responsible for keeping timely, regular backups.
They don't offer backup services as part of the deal.
They recommend how you should do it using secure cloud storage like OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox. They say keep that data folder safe, but the steak doing it, that's entirely on you.
Okay, so they build the engine, but keeping the fuel safe and having a spare tank. That's my job.
That's a good analogy. And this ties right into the limitation of liability clause. It's standard legal stuff, but vital to understand. KMS or their employees are explicitly not liable for data loss from negligence external factors. Think hardware dying, floods, malware, even just employee mistakes.
Whoa, okay, so data loss, software glitches, indirect damages. They're limiting their exposure across the board.
Pretty much.
But what if? What if they messed up? Like they pushed a bad update that corrupted data. Does this clause still let them off the hook?
The contract tries to let them off the hook, yes. It aims for a strict limit on their liability, regardless of the cause. The practical reality for you, the user, is harsh. If your hard drive fails or an employee deletes the wrong thing and you didn't have that backup you're supposed to maintain.
It's my fault. Legally, contractually.
Correct. Their job, as defined here, is keeping the software code functional. Operational data security. That's your department.
Wow, okay, that line is drawn in permanent ink. Chilling, but clear. They fix the tool, I protect what it produces. Right, let's switch gears. Model 1, the old school offline software, installed on your machine. What does the AMC actually cover once it's up and running?
Okay, offline support. It's defined pretty narrowly. It's mostly about keeping the existing system working. So things like remote, help with installation, fixing actual bugs they can verify, troubleshooting problems you report, and what they call minor customizations.
Minor customizations. That sounds like a potential gray area. What counts as minor?
The sources give examples like changing the layout of a bill or tweaking how a report looks, small adjustments to what's already there.
Not building new features.
Definitely not. It also includes preventive measures during the AMC period aimed at keeping the software stable. But yeah, think maintenance, not new construction.
Got it. Okay, now the important part for budgeting. What's explicitly not included? Where do the hidden costs pop up?
This is crucial. First off, hardware support is out. Your computer breaks. That's on you.
Makes sense.
Second, they are not your accountant. The docs literally say charges extra from CA. So no financial advice included.
Okay.
And circling back to our earlier point, they won't fix problems caused by your negligence, like forgetting those backups.
Right. And what about bigger changes? Say 6 months in, I realize I need a whole new module, maybe connect to a shipping company system.
Implicitly excluded from the AMC. That kind of major custom development, a new module, changing the core structure, a complex integration with something else that's outside the maintenance scope.
So that becomes a whole new project, new contract, new cost.
Exactly. It's treated as a paid enhancement. The AMC keeps the current version running. It doesn't fund its evolution. And that line between a minor tweak and a major change can be, well, fuzzy in practice. But if it needs real development time, changes how the software fundamentally works, it's extra.
That really narrows the value prop of the AMC, doesn't it? It's purely about keeping the lights on for what you already bought.
Pretty much.
Let's talk about the license itself for this offline model. Big upfront cost, usually. What are the rules? Do I own it?
Ownership is tricky.
Yeah.
The license is tied strictly to one specific computer. It's not transferable, need it on another PC, buy another license.
Oh, okay, standard enough.
But here's the real kicker. The massive risk point the sources flag for offline users. If that computer with the license gets lost, damaged, stolen, maybe there's a fire, a theft.
Uh-oh. What happens? A reinstallation fee?
Nope. The contract requires full payment again to reissue the license.
You're kidding. Full payment. If I paid, say, $5,000 for it originally and the machine dies 3 years later, I have to pay another $5,000 just to get it running on a new machine.
That's what the terms state. It's a complete replacement cost, not a service fee.
Wow, that is punitive.
It really forces the client to be responsible for the physical security of that asset. Since it's offline, the provider loses control after installation. This clause makes the financial hit for physical loss immediate and severe.
No kidding. Any other financial traps in the offline model?
Well, two more key things. First, software payments are non-refundable, period. You must use the demo, evaluate it thoroughly before buying. Once you pay and install, that money's gone, even if it turns out not to be a perfect fit.
Ouch. Due diligence up front is critical then.
Absolutely. And second, if you need support after your included AMC period ends, you have to pay for the next block of support in advance. No pay, no support. Simple as that.
Man, that offline model sounds rigid. Okay, let's shift to the cloud, the online software model. What extra services do you get bundled in there? It feels like it should be more comprehensive.
It is different because the provider, KMS in this case, is now managing the environment it runs in.
Yeah.
So the online AMC covers hosting, managing the DNS, plus the technical support. The promise is basically smooth, 24/7 operation for your custom software. They talk about secure cloud hosting, zero downtime management, server monitoring. It sounds like a fully managed service.
Yeah, it sounds all-inclusive. But you mentioned a financial line earlier, particularly after year one. What happens then?
Ah, yes. This is probably the biggest budget shocker for businesses moving to this model. It's a key nugget from these docs. The first year, AMC, hosting, DNS, it's often bundled in complementary with the initial project cost. Looks great on paper.
Yeah.
But after year one, the client must renew all three, the AMC, the hosting, and the DNS, and the cost. It's
Right.
based on current market rates or whatever the actual hosting provider charges KMS.
Hold on. So those costs, which are essential to keep the software running, they're basically hidden or subsidized in year one.
Pretty much.
And then they become a new mandatory and potentially fluctuating operating expense from year two onwards. You can't just opt out of hosting if you want to use the software, right?
Exactly right. No hosting renewal, no 24/7 software. You have to renew. So you need to budget for it. And that cost might have little relation to your original software deal. It could go up based on market rates.
So it flips from a CapEx kind of feel in year one to a mandatory OpEx forever after.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's a critical shift to plan for.
It's definitely a budget risk. Okay, what about customization in this online world? Is it easier, harder, stricter?
Even stricter, actually. Because they need to keep that platform stable for potentially many clients, the policy is pretty rigid post-installation. Under the AMC, essentially no structural or functional changes are included.
None.
If you want a new feature, a new module, connect to some third-party service via an API, change the core design, anything beyond basic maintenance, it's a paid enhancement request every time.
So they're selling stability above all else. Maintenance, not free evolution.
That's the model.
Okay, last piece, liability in the cloud. The data's on their managed servers, maybe third-party servers. If that server goes down, is KMS finally on the hook?
Nope. They apply the same principle just to the cloud setup. While KMS manages the software on the server, they explicitly state they are not responsible for downtime, data loss, or disruptions caused by third-party hosting service itself.
So they manage the software instance, but not the underlying infrastructure's reliability.
Correct. They're maintaining their code, their application, running on someone else's hardware and network, essentially. And sound familiar. Even with 247 hosting, guess who's still responsible for making secure, independent backups of the data?
Let me guess.
The client.
Bingo. The data security responsibility always remains with you, the customer. Cloud, on-premise, doesn't matter, according to these terms.
Wow. This whole deep dive paints a really clear picture, doesn't it? A consistent pattern of the provider very carefully managing their own risk. Let's try and sum up the key takeaways for you listening. Across both models, offline and online, some things are always excluded, right? Hardware help, accounting advice that's always on you.
Absolutely. And that software purchase, non-refundable. Got to do your homework first with the demo.
And we saw that core pattern repeated over and over. The company covers the software itself, the code, the bugs, its basic function. But you, the customer, you cover the whole world around it.
Yeah, the ecosystem, the hardware it runs on, any professional advice you need, like accounting, and critically universally securing your own data.
It's like they built the road, but you're responsible for the car, the driver, the insurance, the fuel, and making sure your cargo, the data, is safe.
That's a great way to visualize it. They provide the platform, you handle the operation and safety.
Understanding these TNCs, then, isn't just about avoiding a lawsuit years later. It's about knowing your real costs and your real responsibilities from day one, especially into year 2 and beyond.
Couldn't agree more. It's operational and financial planning.
Okay, final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We've seen how wildly different the costs can be, especially that jump in year 2 for online software. If you rely on a custom solution, have you really looked at your contract? Do you know where their support stops and your out-of-pocket costs begin? Especially think about reissuing a lost offline license or those potentially hefty mandatory hosting and DNS fees for your online system kicking in after year 1. Are those costs actually in your budget, or are you headed for a surprise?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. Check that fine print. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Thank you for watching this video. If you like this, please follow, like, share, and subscribe.